Hey, what's up, guys? It's Johnny, and welcome to episode 33 of the Travel Like a Boss podcast. I'm here today with Marcus Lucas, all the way from Brazil.
Yeah, baby.
Hola, buddy.
Hola, ¿cómo
Actually,
está?
is that how you say it in Portuguese?
Yeah, hola.
Muy bien, gracias. If you go,
That's a Spanish, bro.
I know. Sorry. All right. So, Marcus, how is Brazil? How is Chiang Mai? And how do you make all this money to travel? That's going to be the topics for today.
Basically.
Or give me a 3-second summary.
3 seconds. Yeah. Yeah, dude, it's complicated. Like, my life is weird, man, because I first went to the Philippines, got an internship there, and then I went to Japan, I got a scholarship. So I traveled around a lot before coming here. And after the Japanese collapse, I quit my job, went back to Brazil, started building online businesses. So basically now I have money because of this online income.
So Marcus is known as the Tim Ferriss of Brazil. How did you get that name?
I have no clue, man. Like, it's complicated because I think I was one of the first Brazilian guys to do the 4-hour work week, actually like building products, automating traffic, and outsourcing the customer service thing. And that's weird because like I'm trying to meet more people like that, but they are normally freelancers traveling or they're tourists.
You mean guys from Brazil and that actually do travel? I'm sure most of the country, they stay in Brazil. Yeah. It's probably not, because it's a beautiful country, right?
It's a nice country, and the girls are awesome.
So we'll talk about more Brazilian bikinis later in this episode. But, I mean, so how do you like it out here in Thailand?
That's the thing, like we can choose where we want to live, right? Because, and just to be honest here, like in the beginning it's hard, man. Like building a business from scratch is hard. There's like a lot of insecurities. People are not going to support you. So when I was building my business back in Brazil, building the graduateinjapan.com, where I sell a guide to people to study in Japan, like everybody said I would fail. Like it doesn't work. That's bullshit. So you got to be really strong to do that. So like start building businesses, start making income, and then I had a place to choose, right? So a lot of friends were saying, "Oh, Thailand is awesome." So I got volunteer work in Bangkok to plant trees.
That's nice. And you know what? I want to talk a little bit more about your book. So it's graduateinjapan.com, and what it is basically, I can't pronounce this city, but it's for people who want to go to Monbu Aka Saku. So, how do you say it?
Yeah, that's the name of this scholarship. That's a scholarship given by the Japanese government for students to go to Japan and study master's, PhD, or research. So the scholarship is called Mombukakusho or Mombusho scholarship.
So basically what I said, right?
Yeah, okay. Exactly. same, but different.
Okay, and so people... I mean, and you got the scholarship when you went to Japan. And what exactly is the scholarship? Like, what do you get for it?
Yeah, so that's a long selection, and you need to go to the Japanese embassy or consulate in your country, and they're gonna testing you on like your English or Japanese. You need to give a research proposal. You need to contact doctors, professors in Japan to get acceptance. So it's a very hard scholarship to get. So I got it, and after all my experience in Japan, I took my master's in Japan. A lot of people were asking me more about it. So what I did was, instead of just writing about my experience, I surveyed 210 people that passed on this scholarship. So I plot their profiles, like how many papers they published before, if they worked before, so people can adapt their profile to be more successful to get the scholarship.
So somebody gets a scholarship. I mean, how much? Like, what is that worth? How much money is that actually worth?
They give you a round-trip flight from your country to Japan.
Okay, nice.
They give you a monthly allowance of $1,600, and you're hosting university, like it's cheaper. So basically, I was saving $500 a month with the scholarship in Japan.
That's a lot of money. I mean, over the course of a couple of years, right?
Yeah. It's normally like 2 years, then it can extend for PhD, but. Yeah, it's one of the best universities in the world. One of the best scholarships in the world.
I'm taking a look at the site right now, and I mean, so the people listening to this podcast aren't necessarily going to want to go to Japan to do their master's program. It's this isn't really the scope of the people listening to this. But what I think is really cool is there are tons of people who would love to go to Japan to do their master's program, and they would love to be able to go and have it paid for, for a free flight and have, basically free money every month. So if you were, one of these people and you found this site, Graduate in Japan, and you saw there's all this information on how you can have a much better chance of getting the scholarship, and then you look down and it's only $29, you're like, well, of course I'm going to buy this book. And so what I want people at home listening to this to understand is the things that you've been through personally that you think can help other people. That is a business. I mean, that is the best online business. Is if you had a lot of struggle trying to figure out something for yourself and you made it, and then you have access to other people who made it as well, that is such a good product. And you know what? For $32 to the person buying it, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal because it's, I mean, actually, I think it's a little bit too cheap. But for you, I mean, it's passive now, right? I mean, do you have to, like, is it, how much time do you actually have to spend on this site now every week?
I don't spend much time. Like maybe if someone sends a message, but normally they don't, they just buy it. So maybe every week, maybe 20 minutes, 10 minutes or less.
I'm actually curious, why is it so cheap? Is it like a monthly bill, or is that just the price? Is it just $30?
That's the price. I could make it more expensive, but at the same time, like I don't want, like, it's for students, right? So like I don't want to make it more expensive for them, and I really want to help more people with, like going to Japan, because like Japan is expensive, man. If you go by yourself, it's going to be really expensive. And this scholarship like helped me opening my world in terms of how educated they are, how everything works, how respectful and how committed they are to development. For me it was amazing.
And it's cool that you're basically sharing this with other people, because I'm 100% sure that if somebody was in this, in this situation where they wanted to go to this city to get the scholarship, they would look at your site and it looks beautiful. I mean, you guys, what you can do, you can look at his site and then you can just get ideas on what is a good website. It has a really nice box cover, so even though it's an ebook, it makes it look like it's a really high expensive packaging. It's almost like if you go to Starbucks, the coffee at Starbucks is it's just coffee, right? It's not necessarily better than a lot of other coffee. It's okay coffee. It's decent, but the packaging makes it look really expensive, really nice. Same with their cookies and their salads and everything.
That's one thing that I do, like in all my businesses. Like I try to have the best graphical presentation skills or ability on it, because like everything you do is your face, is your touch. Mm-hmm. So like how you want to be remembered, like with a crappy website or someone that actually put time and effort to build something that looks high profile. But the thing with the scholarship was, because if you search on the guidelines on how to get scholarship, dude, they are so broad. They're like extremely broad, and nobody knows exactly what are the selection requirements on people. They just say like, oh, you need to have like amazing grades. You need to know, like, be very smart. But at the same time, like, they don't know what it is.
So I mean, so basically, it gives people the information that's hard to find out there. So for the guys listening at home, and you're thinking, why is Johnny spending so much time talking about this city that he can't pronounce and nobody's actually going to go to? It's not because I want you guys to buy this book so you can go to this, to go to a master's program. I'm actually kind of against going to school. And more of that later, I think. It's because I want you guys to use this as an example of what is, what's an ebook or a program that you guys can make yourself that is going to add value to other people. If you've ever tried to search for information for something, the easiest example is a visa to Thailand. There's tons of people that always ask about these constantly changing laws and how to get these visas in Thailand. And there's forums. There's like thaivisa.com, which is a good forum. But at the same time, if somebody had an ebook on, this is, everything you need to know in one place, and you will have the visas you need and never have to worry about it, I'm sure a lot of people would buy it.
Exactly. And sometimes not even having like everything they need to know in one book, but sometimes it's about the author, about you. Because lately on my other business, a lot of people, they want to buy from me even though they have the same information from other guys. Mm-hmm. Is on being extremely legit and honest about what it is and what you're selling and how you're selling to. Because a lot of people, they just want to make money with like crappy products, right? So if you're going to build something, try to put maximum effort towards something that, people are going to be pleased of having.
I've met a couple of guys who I'm not friends with, but, I've met them through friends of friends of friends, and they are constantly putting out new books or products every month. And it's because every time they do, and they market it correctly, people will buy it. And then it gets a bad reputation because it sucks. And instead of them, making the product better, what they do is they just put out another product that promising another thing, and they get it as well. But that's never been what I wanted to do. If I'm going to put something out, I want it to be my heart and soul. I want it to be good and evergreen, and that's a term that means basically my goal is the reason why I never do launches for any of my products. For example, so I have something called Optimize Like a Boss, and it's a e-commerce conversion video training course if you have a dropshipping store, especially when you have a Shopify store. The only marketing I've ever done for it is I've sent one email. And the reason why I did that is because I was thinking, you know what, enough people are going to buy it this first email launch, and they're going to basically be the ones who test it. And based on them, I'm going to see what works, what people like, what they want added, and then I can basically add more value to it. So actually from that very first day when I sent it out, I realized, I was like, you know what? This isn't enough. I need to add more value to it. So I actually went in, recorded 4 more videos of the topics that people actually really wanted. And now it continues to make sales, even though we do zero marketing for it, because it has a good reputation and positive word of mouth, which is the exact opposite of people launching multiple products that they don't really believe in. Yeah. So I like the way that you do things.
Yeah, that's true. And especially if it's your first version of a product, that's one strategy that I use too. It's like just sell for way cheaper than the competitors, just to get some people. And normally it's like a limited amount of people, like 50 people, so you can have like Google Hangouts, get more tips and feedbacks to improve it. That's what it calls like product iteration. Google had the penguin, the panda, now we're going to come the turtle, and Mac has like lion, mountain lion, maverick. Okay. So you got to be interacting and getting feedbacks to improve your product, especially if it's information products.
Yeah, I like it.
And that's the mistake that people read at the Ferriss book, and they're like, oh, it doesn't work because my sales are decreasing over time. Like, of course, because if you have a lot of affiliates, they're going to be competing and trying to get discounts from you. And it's very easy for someone else to try to copy your stuff online. So that's keeping the iterations and making just the best affiliates with you gonna help you out in like 1 or 2 years online passive income.
Well, one thing I used to dream about, I almost felt like I want to build a business, or I want to have a product that it will always do well forever. And even if it didn't grow, I want it to be maintained. Like, so let's say I was making $600 a month from something. I want to be able to make $600 a month from it forever. And now I think about it, it's ridiculous. You can't expect that ever without making more changes to things, updating them, making things better. And you have to always constantly be innovating and making new things. So I do believe that it is good to come out with, new products or new projects, but not every month.
Yeah, you just make the first ones better. Like the better the quality is, especially if it's cheaper, people are going to buy from you. They're going to be very grateful, going to have the word of mouth, and everything's going to scale from there.
Well, one thing about being cheapest, it does work initially. I think that's a great way to get started, but I really try to stay away from the price war game in the long run. So what I personally do, especially for my e-commerce stores, where a lot of times you're selling kind of similar products to other people. So let's say that there's 20 different authorized dealers for a product. I'm one of them. If I just lower my price, what's going to happen is someone else is going to lower their price, and then I'm going to have to lower my price, and it's just going to end up being this war down to the MAP policy, which is the minimum advertised price, and then nobody makes any money. So what I like to do instead is I like to just match whatever the lowest price is, and that way I'm not, I'm saying, hey, look, if you want to play price war, I'm gonna be forced to keep matching you, but I'm not gonna undercut you for no reason. Yeah. And then second, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to add value by making each product page as descriptive as possible. Try to include little free bonuses here and there. Try to give them trust and incentive to buy from me versus someone else. Basically just offer a better product, even though the core product itself might be the same, but the delivery of it, or around it, and sometimes literally the delivery of it, is going to be better. So I'm looking at the other side right now. Liberato Digital. .com.
I need to have an English version of this one.
Yeah. How do you say this?
Libertação digital. It's like digital freedom.
Okay.
In Portuguese. Yeah, I'm gonna have one in English in the future. I'm gonna have some products for the English market.
But this is beautiful as well, and it's, even though I can't read any of this, I can tell it's well laid out. You have good graphics, good photos, And it actually, what it does is it reminds me that my sites kind of look like crap.
You gotta change yours, bro.
Yeah, and Marcus actually had told me this morning. He's like, your sites look like crap. I'm almost a little bit embarrassed now, so I might try to migrate over. But one of the reasons why JohnnyFD.com looks really basic is because I never intended it to be a business. You know, it was always a way for me to share what's going on in my life with my friends and family. And the only reason why I talk about business so much now is because I'm so interested in location-dependent business. Because that's just my passion and my hobby. Before, if you look on if you look back on it, I was talking about things like Muay Thai or scuba diving or travel. I mean, there's 10 weeks straight where I'm just talking about what I did in Cambodia and had nothing to do with business at all. So that's kind of the reason. But at the same time, I think you were right when you mentioned earlier, you said, even, if someone's going to come to your site, you might as well make it as beautiful and as possible for them.
Yeah, more attractive as possible, because sometimes when you go out, like everybody's gonna judge you the first instance, right? So like, why not to make the first impression better for them? And also, it's a proof of credibility. Like Apple does it, like all the products are beautiful, and after you can position yourself in a higher place where your products are more expensive as well. But things that I love about your sites, like it's you're not trying too hard, like you're just showing your life and sharing with people that like it. And sometimes it's not about how many people you have following you, but it's what's the quality of those people, that how much they really like you. Because sometimes you have like 10 people that access your website and one really likes it. I'd rather to be with one that really likes than having 10 people accessing you, like 9 thinking that's all right,
I definitely agree with that. And, I remember, people ask me all the time, they're like, how many page views do you get per month, or how many downloads do you get a month? And the reason why I never know, I mean, I think, sometimes people are like, oh, have you never heard of Google Analytics? I have it installed, and, I will look at it once in a blue moon, like once every 3 months or so. But the reason why I don't really care about it that much is I judge how popular something is getting by how many comments people leave on it, how many people share it, how many people mention it on Twitter, how many iTunes ratings we get, things like that. And to me, I'd rather have 10 people that really has changed their lives versus 10,000 people who just read something and didn't take action with it. I mean, the fact that I have people that show up to Pun Space almost on a weekly basis now, who recognize me and say, hey, Johnny, thank you. You were at least a big part in my decision to come out here. That makes me know it's all worth it. And that, the quality of viewers I have, the quality of listeners, I appreciate you guys. And I want you guys to succeed.
Dude, that's awesome that you said that. And that's amazing, because like sometimes when you're doing like a podcast or interview and stuff, and some people, they just don't realize like how powerful it is that you just want to share our lives, because we know that some people are trapped, maybe not in a job, but maybe even in their bubble, in their head, that they cannot do stuff, they cannot travel. And a few days ago, like one guy was adding me on Facebook, and he was my client like 3 years ago on my digital business school that I have in Brazil. And he was like, dude, like you're like, I blame you. It's like, what are you blaming me for? No, for like changing my mind and trying to be more entrepreneurial and travel. So that's really awesome. Like, we don't know how we're going to touch some people, but like sometimes it just happens. And like showing your face, your voice out there, like everybody has something valuable. So if you're still like hiding yourself, like it's not a time to hide. It's a time to show with great content, like caring about other people, and then everything starts happening to you. It's amazing.
While we're on this topic, I want to give a shout out to some of the people who constantly are interacting on Twitter, favoriting, or retweeting my tweets. Rob Gorange, we have a guy named JC, Charles Cooper, Matt Ward, Casey Knapp, and this guy named Phil, who I like the hashtag sharing awesome. A lot of cool people who I've never met in person yet, but they are like, they're the people who this podcast is for. People like that who not only listen and hopefully take action with a lot of these things, but also inspire enough to want to share it with their friends. So, big thank you to all of you guys who, are constantly, leaving reviews or sharing with your friends and family. I mean, this is how it grew. I mean, I've literally done zero advertising or marketing for Travel Like a Boss. And someone had asked me how it became so popular, and I said I shared it on my Facebook, and that was it. And it just grew virally because people liked it. And I firmly believe that internet marketing does work. I mean, there's ways to write good sales copy, to basically do marketing, but at the same time, if you have good content, it shares itself. So I think it's a nice balance between the two.
Yeah, I think was last time I was here in Chiang Mai, I was talking to Josh and Jill, and I just liked the way they're putting their package, like the badass blogging, or there's like the Screw the 9 to 5, because it's putting your personality into the business. Like when you're putting like your face, your pictures, like it's your personality, and nobody can copy that.
Yeah,
and that's way more powerful than having like all this shady sales letters they promising way too much. Like when people see that you're honest, even if the price is higher, they're gonna buy from you. Some might not buy because like for other stuff, but like a few people they're gonna buy from you, and refund rates go lower, because it's not shady. It's like you're gonna be honest with what's going on there.
Well, speaking of refund rates, for Optimize Like a Boss, when we first sent out the email, we got tons of sales just because people wanted to buy something, and and really just because I never really marketed anything before. I'm just like, well, this is, besides my ebook, which is only $10 anyways, this is like my first product. So tons of people actually bought it, and then we got some refunds right away, and it freaked me out because I was like, oh my god. I was like, maybe this product's not good enough, maybe it's not what people want. And then I realized after that, I was like, you know what? It's because the marketing is too good for it. Like it had a nice clean page, and it had nice, like a nice video, and it didn't really screen people enough. So I actually re-recorded that initial video and basically told people not to buy it unless they, had this, and this in place already. So basically before it was kind of like, all right, hey, I want to teach you guys how to optimize your stores and make more money selling online. And then the second video, I was like, look, guys, don't buy this unless you actually have a store ready. If you don't know anything about dropshipping, you don't know anything about e-commerce, you don't even have a Shopify store set up, go to antonmethod.com, learn from that guy. That's who I learned from. And then once you start making sales, or you get stuck and want more guidance, or if you want to start optimizing, like you're getting visitors but people aren't buying and you're wondering why, then sign up for Optimize Like a Boss. And what happened was initially sales went down. Instead of going from 3-4 sales a day, it started going to 1 a week. But what had happened was the refund rate went from very high to almost none. So almost no one ever refunds it anymore, because the people who buy it, are qualified and they actually get a lot from it. And not only do they not refund it, but they also recommend it to people, which is nice.
Oh, that's interesting. Hey, it depends on how much you want to compromise your like the profit they are making. Like sometimes you can make more sales and refund rates are higher, but at the same time you can make more money. But hey, it depends on how honest you want to be, man, and how you want to be remembered by other people. Because like money is really important, but like it's not everything, because some people make money in very shady ways. I have no clue how they sleep at night. So it depends on your profile too. If you want to be really aggressive, like just don't mention my name, probably don't mention Johnny FD's name that you learned stuff from us. But like if you want to be like more genuine and honest, like go ahead. It's pretty cool, even though sales might drop a little bit, but the people that are gonna buy from you, they really like you, and they're gonna probably buy more from you in the future.
So you've met a lot of people kind of traveling around the world that have online businesses that actually work, that are legitimate and actually make money. Like what are some examples of things? Because for me, the two, basically I would say the two things that made me money is writing the ebook, which is the travel guide, 12 weeks in Thailand, and all my dropshipping stores. But for you and also the people you met, what are some things that actually have worked?
Okay, I'm going to say for myself first, I have like Reddit in Japan. I have this libertaciondigital.com, where like a lot of people are asking about so many training courses. I'm licensing an email marketing course to sell in Brazil from one of the guys here that I cannot say who he is. A copywriting course in Brazil. I have my own course coming right now. I have a seminar back in Brazil to host. I'm building a team, customer service team, to help digital entrepreneurs. A membership platform that I'm building, like this is like crazy. And from other people that I know, there's Chris Kirkland, has a website, Hobo CEO, but his main platform is artweb.com, where he helps artists to sell sculptures and it's like integrated with PayPal. It's a pretty cool website.
Yeah, I met the guy in Vietnam. He was a cool guy. And what's really funny about him is, he has a long beard, kind of looks like a hobo, right?
Yeah.
And then I see his apartment, and then he's living in like a baller suite. And I'm like, this isn't hobo.
Yeah, I met the guy in Japan when I quit my job, and I was lost, and he was there, right? It's like, dude, okay, so like you do online business, right? Is it? Yeah, like I do. Okay, like dude, like give me some guidance in the beginning. I haven't read for our work week. I was lost, and he was like, dude, you're smart, man. You're gonna be fine. and like, but that emotional support is very, very important.
It is. It really is.
A lot of people don't trust you, but like having someone that trusts you makes a lot of difference. So yeah, there's that guy that I met way before I started building businesses in Brazil. Like most of the big players in Brazil, like, they know me or I know them, or we hang out together in very different kind of niches, like losing weight programs, about getting more traffic. There's one guy in Brazil, he has 180 million views on his websites last year. It's insane.
Wow.
So seduction, pickup, like so many. And platforms, I don't know that many people that are building platforms. I know one guy in Brazil too, but he has like WordPress plugins and is selling really well. But internationally, I think I don't know many though. I know like you, Anton, McIntyre, and some other guys.
And what's nice about this podcast is all the people that I've interviewed are making money online, and that's actually a requirement. To be honest, I get a lot of people who ask me to be on the show, and I kind of politely say, oh yeah, maybe in the future one day. But it's because they haven't figured it out yet. And the whole point of this podcast is to interview people who have figured it out so they can guide you in the right way. I don't want people who, have a great idea and haven't actually implemented it themselves yet. And that's actually kind of a pet peeve I have. I met some people who, teach, like, let's say, how to use Pinterest to get people to, Pinterest marketing course. And I don't know if they've ever actually made any money for themselves in their own business. And especially using that platform. That's how they make money, is teaching other people how to market through something like Pinterest. But I'm like, well, you know what? Have you done it yourself? I would not feel comfortable teaching people about dropshipping unless I've actually made money in dropshipping myself. I would never have an e-commerce business program if I haven't made money in e-commerce myself. And there's plenty of people out there who that is their business. And I try not to say anything about it. And I'm not going to give any names, but it's just, to me, it bothers me. I'm like, you know what? And that's why they're not on the show. So you guys can believe that anyone who's been on the Chop Like a Boss show has made money online doing something legitimate, and from a wide variety of people. I mean, there's like dentists and doctors and people who have all sorts of random businesses who have been on the show.
That's interesting that you said that, because in Brazil, a lot of people are inviting me for those online congress where they give a webinar every, like 3 webinars a day with a different presenter. And like people invite me a lot to go to this record presentation, and people are going to see me there. So like there's this girl, and she has a PhD in social sciences. And I was really honored because she said, you know what, like I wanted to be on the closing date of this online congress. And I was really honored because there's one of the biggest educational foundations in Brazil was out also in the last day. And her email, when she sent, like, I almost cried. She was saying, like, you know what, if you're going to teach something, like, just don't teach, like, live it. Inspire people by example. It's not like just lying. You're not a politician here. You're someone that's, what you're sharing, it's your life somehow. So even though if you don't make like as much money and you want to go into this niche, be honest. Like I'm making $200 a month and it's fine. Like people are gonna believe you, or trust you way more because you're being honest with everybody.
And here's the thing: is a lot of those numbers that people throw out there,
it's bullshit.
They're inflated. They sound like these crazy numbers. And the thing is, it's nice to dream big and eventually get there, but it also makes it a little bit unrealistic. You don't need to make $10,000 a month to live in Thailand. You can live here on $600 a month. You can live here very comfortably for $1,000 a month. I mean, we're sitting in my apartment, and I pay $216 a month for this.
That's a nice place here.
Yeah, and I don't need anything else. And I really don't. I can afford to live in a lot nicer place, but I'm right behind Fun Space. I mean, how close are we to the office?
It is. Even I talk to people and like they always think like, oh, like super rich, gonna be like like spending money on every stuff, like everywhere. And I say like, dude, can you see my jeans? It's the only pants that I have, and that's enough for me because it's hot here, right? Like I don't need more than one.
Yeah, and I mean, we walked here. You know, it was actually kind of stupid. I left my sandals at Pun Space. It's so close, and I didn't realize it's so hot right now in the middle of the afternoon. So I'm probably gonna wear another pair of sandals back.
That's the thing, yeah. Like about the inflated numbers, like they have like this big launches in Brazil right now, right? Like this guy making like $1 million in 7 days. Guys, it's not 7 days.
Yeah.
Like just pay it. It's like a lot of work. It's a process. What you see is an event.
It might be 6 months of planning for that.
It is. And then what they say is like, oh, we made like $600,000 or like $1 million. The thing is like they don't count refund rates. They don't count advertising. They don't count affiliate commissions. They don't count if they have partners. They need to split the profit. So like just be aware of that stuff. And you know like I'm tired, man, of this kind of marketing. You know like. It's weird.
But I think it's because that's what people want to see. That's what people want to hear. It's the exact same reason why people drive expensive cars that they have leased, that they don't actually own. They have these, nice big houses that they don't own. They have a mortgage for it. And they want to show that they're doing well. They want to be able to live that life, that they're doing well. But in reality, they don't actually own any of it yet. And it's very hard. Like, let's say I go back to the U.S. right now and I want to buy a house. I can't afford to buy a big 4-bedroom house in San Francisco. That's, like a way over $1 million. I cannot afford that. I don't have $1 million, right? What can I actually afford? I can afford to buy a condo in Texas, all right? Somewhere cheap. I can afford to buy a $50,000 house in cash. And that's it. And that's not a big house. That's, if anything, people look at me and they're like, oh man, that's all you can afford? You must be pretty poor. But in reality, most people that have a $400,000 house can't afford it. They put down $50,000 on a down payment, right? And they're making these payments per month and paying interest on it. So if anything, they're actually poorer than a guy who just owns a small 1-bedroom condo that outright.
Yeah, I think like a lot of people that they're having very weird values nowadays. They judge you from like what you wear or what you're driving or your house, and that's bullshit. I think people are gonna be smarter to the point that if my country is really expensive or Brazil like is really violent and the corruption is extremely high, it's just retarded how things are in Brazil. We're gonna have the option to live anywhere. Like here in Thailand, if you pay $50,000 in an apartment, it's a really cool apartment, swimming pool, like share swimming pool and stuff. So I think it's going to be a huge revolution very soon that people are going to realize that. Even in America, like, oh, I want to be showing you like how much money I have. Like come on, people.
I mean, and it's nice that a lot of people are starting to realize, maybe it's a waste just to go out and spend $100 every weekend on a bar tab, or opening bottles of champagne just to try to show off to some girls who may or may not even be impressed by it. Yeah. Versus having legitimate income, legitimate savings, and and just realizing it's like I'd rather spend my money on experiences. And I think a lot of people listening to this feel the same way. Where if you're going to spend $1,000. You might as well buy a plane ticket to Paris versus buying a Louis Vuitton handbag.
Yeah, traveling is the best investment you can do. But yeah, the thing is that most people, they're expending money they might don't have to impress people they don't like with stuff they don't need.
Yeah, it's true. It really is true.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know. I think like we're in a moment where everybody needs like to reflect what they want to be in life, and especially for your kids. You're going to be a role model for your kids. You're going to be like spending money around. Of course, money is important. You got to save it for the future, for their education, for, any emergencies that come. But how you want to raise them? How you want to see like the next generations? Like imagine like everybody thinks like, oh, Wolf of Wall Street's so cool, right? Like,
it is a cool movie. I love the movie, but I don't want to live that life.
Yeah, but I don't want a kid like that. Like with drugs and doing like crazy stuff. I want him to have the most experience and abilities and like learn more languages and be able to be capable, self-sufficient in the world, not in only one country.
It's funny. It's in episode, I don't know, it's a long time ago, one of these episodes, I would say episode 28 is the Vacation Like a Boss episode. I announced that I'm going to try to compete with Dan Brazilian's Instagram. I didn't even have an Instagram at that time. I think I just started it a few weeks ago. And this guy has, how many followers does this guy have?
Wow, 1,800,000.
Yeah, 1.8 million. And this guy's a multi-millionaire. That he got all his money from his parents and from poker. Lives in a mansion. All his photos of him, hot girls in bikinis, cleaning his pool. You know, all his gun collection, mermaids. You know, like all of his crazy sports cars. You know, stacks of money. He has a private jet. You know, all this cool stuff. So I was like, I'm going to compete with this guy's Facebook. I mean, his Instagram. So my Instagram is instagram.com/JohnnyFDK. And it is nowhere like that. And I realized, I tried for a little bit. I was like, okay. I even have a picture that's similar to his cat, because my cousin has a cat that's the same. But, you know, at the same time, I look at it, I'm like, you know what? This isn't really me. This is cool stuff, cool photos I've taken pictures of. So, you know, I'm quite proud of it, because there are a lot of those experiences, places I've been, you know, things I've done. But in reality, you know, just the things I've done don't make me who I am. And, you know, these are cool photos to look at. You know, I think people enjoy looking at them, and it's inspiring, and I enjoy looking at them as well. But in reality, what really makes me happy isn't being able to buy these cool things. It's being able to really just genuinely enjoy my life. And you know, so I do believe that we do need to make money, and we need to make a lot more money than the base amount to settle. You know, somebody asked me a comment the other day. They said, hey, you know, I wanted to buy your book, the 12 Weeks in Thailand book, but I see that you're not living on a budget anymore. Does this mean that that book isn't legitimate? And I said, no, it's absolutely legitimate. That's what I did for 4 years. And it was a great stepping stone to the life I have now. I don't want everyone else taking 4 years to learn what I learned, but it's awesome to do for 3 months, 6 months, or a year when you're starting out. If you're unhappy at your current situation back in Brazil or back in the US, leave it. Come here, bootstrap, live as cheap as possible. You know, take people scuba diving. You know, do Muay Thai, do all these things. I mean, I've literally fought like killers to get paid $60. You know, and to me, that $60 was a lot of money at the time, and I needed that. I fought these guys not only for the experience, but also because I needed the money, and it was the only way I can get to train at these gyms for free is if you fight for them. If you're part of their team. You know, they waive the tuition, and I couldn't afford the $300 a month to train there, so that was part of the deal. Now, I never want to do that again. I want to be able to afford to just pay $300 and not, you know, put myself in these situations. But I don't regret it. I mean, for those 4 years, I had so many experiences, and I've learned and grown so much from that, and that's why I still promote the book and say, you know what, hey, read this. But then after you're done reading that, you know, and you've lived here for a while on a budget, then follow what I'm doing now, and hopefully you can get to this point as well.
Dude, that's awesome that you shared that. It's really, really cool because, you know, sometimes we have like a lot of ebooks, a lot of training courses like out there, but the things like some ebooks are for specific people on a specific moment on their lives, right? And that's the cool thing. Like nowadays we have information, have options. Before didn't have that. You know, before it didn't even have internet. We didn't have like as many information as we have right now from people that have done stuff before. And the cool thing that you shared that about not selling. When I started my business too, like I quit my job in Japan. I went back to Brazil, and I got the money from the Japanese pension that we pay the taxes there, and they give it back. So I have around like $1,000, $1,500, and I was really scared and I got to a point that, you know, if I'm gonna build a business, I know that this money is gonna finish, and I need to buy food and stuff. So I was fishing every day at 6 a.m.
Wow.
to have food. And so like I was stacking my fish in my fridge. Like it's hard to tell this story, right? Like I don't like telling them, but you know, like the beginning might be tough, you know, and you need to have resilience, keep going, you know, try, get the best information out there and implement them. And that's the way after people are going to say like, wow, like you're always successful. No, like the mentality is successful. That's why you can create more stuff. And at the same time, like I don't want to go back to the same place I was before when you were like fighting for $6. Like I don't want to go back where I had to go fishing at 6 a.m. to have like food and feel more comfortable.
But you know what? That struggle and you pushing yourself through that's how you develop into who you are today. And the success that you have today. So you've earned all that success.
Yeah.
You know, and if if no one's ever struggled through that, I remember my parents said to me this time when I was just back in the U.S. Last week, and I think it was my mom. She said to me, you've never really, and she said in Chinese, so it's a lot deeper there, but it basically means you've never tasted the hardships, of struggle. And I said to her, I said, Mom, that I've literally climbed mountains. And at first she said, it's not the same. It's not the same as being poor and being broke. And I didn't want to say to her that I was in that situation. I was poor and broke, and I basically had to pick coins out of my couch and look around for 10 baht coins just to be able to eat for a while, because I was in that situation before I started making money, and I didn't want to go home. And I was like, this is what I have to do. A lot of people don't know this, but when I first started building my e-commerce businesses, my laptop broke. And I had, and I was like, well, I have to do this because I have 2 months of savings. And if I don't start making money, I'm screwed. I don't have a plane ticket home. I'm screwed. So I borrowed a laptop. And there's a guy at Punspace who just happened to have a second. He just bought a brand new MacBook Air, and he had this old laptop that he didn't, he wasn't even using anymore. So, I asked him, and I was like, hey, is it okay if I use it today? And the next day I was like, hey, is it okay if I use it again today? And after a while, he said to me, he's like, what, dude, just take it for as long as you want. Like, I don't need it. He's like, I don't care about it. And to him, it didn't matter at all because he was making a lot of money online already. And second, he had a brand new MacBook Air. So what the hell would he want this old crappy PC for? But to me, it meant so much. And I told him a lot later. I don't think he realized how desperate I was. And later on, 6 months later, I said, Cameron, I really appreciate you letting me your laptop. And he's like, dude, it wasn't a big deal. And I said, it wasn't a big deal to you, but it was a big deal to me. And that's why this time that I'm back from the US, I brought this thing. I brought my old Dell laptop, not because I need it, but because if anyone ever is in that situation where they are struggling out here, their laptop is in the shop or it's broken or got stolen, I want to be able to just let people borrow it. So if anyone ever needs it, just come by Punspace. I'm happy to let you use it.
Wow. Dude, that's so cool, man. And I think it's also the mentality, because sometimes we become entrepreneurs and we get more sensitive about life. So like giving something away, sometimes if you don't need, is the best thing that you can do. All the places I go and travel, like I leave stuff. I leave like shoes for other people because, we get like detached, and it might mean a lot more for the person who is receiving. So that's a cool thing. You guys, if you guys can come here and meet this dude, like he's a cool guy, man. You guys gonna have a great time with Johnny.
I appreciate it, and almost probably on a weekly basis now, I get messages on Twitter or on Facebook from people who are coming out here. Actually, just today at lunch, I met two guys, Casey Knapp and his friend Josh Voigt, who just moved out here from San Diego, and just they just messaged me on Twitter. They said, hey, we just moved into town. Do you want to grab coffee or grab lunch? So we had lunch, and what these guys are out here doing is they are trying to get into the Bitcoin market. They're developing kind of software behind it, and it's complicated. I don't really understand it, but they know that it's going to take them 6 months, 8 months, a year to even hope to see profit from it. In the reality, it's a long-term strategy where if as long as they can keep themselves afloat over the next year or two, they're happy. So they asked me, they said, Johnny, we're thinking about doing dropshipping as a side income, that we can start getting right away to be able to fund this lifestyle. He's like, is Anton's method legitimate? And I told them, I said, what, if you asked me 3-4 months ago, I would have said to you in the beginning when I first did it, and because it worked for me, I was 100% sure it worked for everybody. And I said, I told my friends and my family, everyone, I said, look, this course works. I've already made a couple $1,000s from it, and it's worth it. Just do it. I said 100% do it. But then a couple months pass, and I don't really see any success from my friends who signed up for it. And I started thinking, I was like, what? Maybe it doesn't work for everyone. Maybe they don't pick the right niches. Maybe they don't have the skills to do it. Maybe they're busy with their jobs. They can't really do it. So then I kind of just stopped mentioning it for a while. But then very recently, I would say the past couple of months, not only are people that I've known from before, mentioning now, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm making $1,000 a month from it. I'm making $2,000 or $3,000 a month from it. I have people moving out here. I just got a message from a guy named Ben Finnegan, who I met in Phuket a couple years ago. And he sent me a message, when was this? Let's see. About 8 months ago. It was November 2013. And he basically said, hey, I'm wondering if you're still looking for someone to handle your customer service calls in the States. I'm free from 7:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week, and currently on call in U.S. business hours. And he basically offered to take my customer support calls for $6 an hour. And I messaged him back and said, Ben, I'm sorry, I'm going to find someone off of Odesk or off of Craigslist or something instead. And I said, it's because, not that I don't trust you, I know you'll do a good job. I know you actually do a better job than some random house mom that I met. But it's because I want you to succeed, and I want you to be able to travel, and I want you to build your own business. I don't want you spending your time picking up my calls. And he didn't respond. That was December 19th, 2013. And just a few days ago, over the weekend, he messaged me saying, hey, after I read that, I spent the last few months with my nose to the grindstone and completed 2 internship programs. And by January this year, I was able to start bringing in my own dropshipping store to $1,000 a month profit. And although I have all the tools to scale up my business to $5,000 a month in profit, I've been stuck at the $1,000 per month range due to extreme cost of living in California and the fact that I'm forced to spend 50 hours a week working a regular job and can't spend time on my dropshipping business. So the great thing is he said, you know what? I'm moving out here. So hopefully he will be out at the end of the month. And hopefully I'll have him on another podcast episode, because that to me is a really, really good story.
Yeah, Ben. Yeah. You deserve it, bro.
Yeah. And even my other buddy, Adam, who originally I actually had started a dropshipping store with him that didn't do well, but it was mainly I don't know why. I mean, it was him handling most of it. I helped him set it up, and then I said, okay, run with it, and it didn't do that well. And but what the good thing about it is he was inspired to start making money online, and he realized, he's like, you know what skills do I have that I enjoy doing? So we had made a couple sales, but it wasn't killing it. It wasn't enough to make him quit his job. So what he did was he started a web consulting business where he would design websites, because he's like, well, you know what? It's pretty easy for me to make websites now. I've done it a few times, and I can outsource it. So that's what he did, and he quit his job that he hated, this crappy sales job. And now, months later, he actually just messaged me today. I just had a Skype call with him today, and he said, hey, I want to give you 10% of all the profit of the business because you were the one to help me out with it in the first place, and I just want to be able to call you once in a while for advice. And I said to him, I was like, that's really generous. I'd be happy to help you as much as you can.
Dude, that's awesome. Because like sometimes people give you like so much value, and they don't get it, like how they give the value, right? Like the laptop that I gave you, maybe it was an old laptop, was not worth that much money, but the value that was at that moment in time was huge. And there's one of my friends back in Brazil, and he was talking about coming to Thailand for 7 years now. But that guy, like, he helped me a lot, with like struggles, like during the classes, like going out together. Like, he gave me support on my business in the beginning. And I just realized, what, if the guy didn't come in 7 years, I'm going to buy a round trip ticket from Brazil here to him. And people might say like, oh, it's really generous, right? Like, it's like $2,000. But dude, like, the value that he gave me was way higher than $2,000. It's just value, right? Like, money is value too. But like, sometimes you gotta make it up. It doesn't need to be with money or whatever, but like, make sure that people that you value know that you value them.
And the nice thing about money is it makes it a lot easier to have these options. Like, for example, even just being able to afford to fly home and see my parents, and go to my cousin's wedding, because I know all my family members would be there. That's something that if I didn't want to have to worry about if I was broke. So if I couldn't afford it, I would either just not show up and make everyone, miss me and uncomfortable, or I'd make my parents uncomfortable by being like, hey, can you pay for this? But instead, not only can I pay for it myself, but also once I get there, I told my parents to say, oh, don't worry about the wedding gift, I'll pay for it. And to them, it shows that not only they don't have to worry about me anymore, and that's probably the biggest gift I can give them, is just showing them, hey, don't worry about me anymore. I can take care of myself.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, because like there's like all this mentality that like making money is evil or whatever. But it comes down to value. Because, for example, if you want value from someone, right? Like you need someone to help you out with something, and like you need a graphical design to do something. You have a friend that's a graphical design. Like he's gonna feel really uncomfortable to ask them to do it, right? So like having the financial value, like you can just hire someone to do it for you. So you don't need to be like learning all the skills possible to build a business. Although my first business is like I built everything from scratch, man.
And I think we learned a lot from building it.
Yeah.
And like so I mentioned this earlier in the podcast. I don't believe in higher education. I don't believe in getting your master's program, your MBA program. And the reason why I don't believe in it is I went to a nice school. I went to University of California, Irvine. I did business management, I did social science, and I graduated with honors. And I honestly didn't learn that much from it. It was a nice experience moving away from home. And it was great living, the college lifestyle. But I didn't really learn anything practical, especially not in the business classes. And I've known people who have gone back and tried to get their MBA and come out, they know nothing. They know nothing about business, and they're like, can I be your intern? And I'm like, you just spent how much money on this freaking MBA program, and you don't have the skills to start your own business? That's ridiculous. And this last year, right, spending $500 on this training course, I learned more than, I would say, the training course itself, it's not like I learned everything. It's not like I learned a year's worth of things. But that gave me the foundations where I was able to start my business. And because I had a real business, I started learning, okay, how can I deal with customer service? How can I hire employees and manage employees? How can I do my accounting? So these skills I've learned because of that initial training course, instead of being, I don't know how much an MBA in the US is, it's probably, at least $20,000 or more. I spent $500 on Anton's course, and now not only did I learn all these things, but I've gotten paid to learn it. Every day I'm getting paid to learn more things about business. And that's why I think it's so much better to just start a business than to go back for more school.
Yeah, I agree. I think that like MBAs, they might be very useful if you know exactly what you're gonna learn and how you're gonna use it, right? Was always my dream to study MBA. I don't know why. I always liked academia. I was a researcher for like 4 years or more. I think like some things are really valuable, but a lot of people, they go to an MBA and they as you said, like they don't learn how to build a business, and they don't even want to build a business, man. Because like when you're committed to build something, like you just go and you build it, But the thing is, like if you can use an MBA in a very strategic way, for example, on making money in online business, right? If you want to teach this stuff, just to kill a few objections, like what kind of qualifications you have. Like a lot of people are weird. They're gonna ask you like the toughest questions, like, what kind of qualifications do you have? Like, yeah, like I have like a bunch of profitable business. But can you teach that? It's like anyone can teach. Like anyone can write a book nowadays. It's not that you're not in the Inquisition where like you're writing books, people are like burning you alive. Like anyone can share the knowledge because everybody's knowledgeable on different areas.
Whether I do believe that having, be able to say, I have MBA might help, but I would much rather see someone that actually has a successful business and has a degree. For example, I used to think that, going to a top league Ivy school was, the best thing that you could possibly do. And I think those people are so driven, they're so smart and so intelligent that even without that degree, they would still do well. And the best thing about going to school like Harvard or Columbia is the networking and the other people you meet. And I used to think that was very exclusive to going to these Ivy League schools. But now that I met so many entrepreneurs, I don't believe that's true anymore. I think that with 1/100th of the money that you would spend going to one of these top tier schools, you can come to a place like Chiang Mai, spend $110 a month on your Punspace membership, and you can meet really good quality people who are successful, but not just successful, but they're happy as well. And I think that's a big difference. Everyone I meet here is in relatively good shape. They're healthy, they're happy, they've seen the world, they travel, they're open-minded. And that's not the case, for everyone, that has an MBA.
That's true. Yeah, what I learned here from people is like everybody's open-minded, and at the same time, like people like to help each other, like back home, of course, have like some people that are gonna help you out, but it's different, like do you know that building a business you need to have guts, and you're gonna take some risks. Of course, you can measure the risks in the data and the metrics, but it comes down to like taking that risk. A lot of people don't do that. Imagine if you're gonna build a business, right? And someone give you the money to start, so like he's taking off the risk from you. You might learn stuff, but if you lose everything, then you cannot restart again because you're gonna be scared because you didn't take the risk. So yeah, you're gonna come here. People who are not judgmental, people are happy and approachable.
But I think the main reason why people here are so helpful to each other is because by you arriving on a plane and saying, hey, I'm gonna come here and try to make it work, you've already taken the risk. I would love to be able to spend 2 hours with everyone who emails me or messages me, helping them with their business or their ideas, or their fears, but I don't have time for that. But if you did come and I met you in person, I know already that you're a go-getter, that you are, you've taken the risk already, and then I'm happy to spend half an hour, and have lunch with you and help you with however I can, and not just me, everyone here. I mean, like I just happen to have a podcast. There's tons of people here who know way more about internet marketing than me, know way more about business than I do, and they're always happy to help. Everyone's super cool about that.
Yeah, guys, so just come, girls too. Especially the sexy ones.
Yeah. You know what? All right. So before this ends, we have to talk about Brazilian girls.
Okay.
They're known to be beautiful, the sexiest women in the world. Why are you here in Chiang Mai and not back in Brazil?
Why are you here and not in Brazil? You could be in Brazil, right?
I could be in Brazil. But, so my answer is?
I'm making you embarrassed. Yeah, dude, the things about Brazil is like the girls are cool, like they're sexy, they have like big asses and big boobs, and like everybody sees on TV and stuff. But Brazil is just weird in terms of like politics and violence, and like when I think about it, I don't even want to go back, because if you come here and like you can walk back home during the night, nothing is gonna happen to you. Nothing at all. Like in Brazil, like you cannot walk by yourself after 10 p.m. because you get scared someone gonna steal from you or like kick the shit out of you. So that's why like Brazil seems like a very nice country, but it's extremely violent, guys. So if you go to Brazil, like just be careful.
So I used to have Brazil on the top of my list, and South America in general. And honestly, I don't have a huge desire to go there right now. I think I would still enjoy it if I went. I just don't really have a big reason to go there. If I was just living in the U.S. and I only had choice to go one place, I might go there. I might say, okay, let me go check it out for a while, for a few weeks or a month. But as far as right now, I have no desire to actually move there, even though it's beautiful, even though there's cool culture and plenty of beautiful things to see. It's because I haven't even seen all the cool things here. And there's so many beautiful places in Thailand. Like this screensaver that we're looking at, this background, it's not stock. I took that picture.
Wow.
I just happened to be sitting there eating lunch, and I was like, oh, this would be a nice photo.
Wow. Where is it?
And this is in Krabi. This is I was doing some rock climbing. It's right on these rocks across the corner.
Wow.
And we just came here on one of these little boats over to have lunch.
That's pretty cool, man.
And nobody even believes me that's not a professional background photo. That is, and it's not even edited. That's just the picture I took.
Wow. That's insane, guys.
And so you have this, and I'll put this picture up. This is episode 33. Just go to the show notes. And not only do we have these beautiful places, but it's safe here. Everywhere has a little, it's always going to have a little bit of danger, so don't be an idiot, especially if you're out drinking late at night. But, in general, I would say for every crime that would happen in a place like Brazil, or even a place like Los Angeles, even a place like New York, it's the chances of that happening here are so much less. So it's almost negligible. And second, it's so much cheaper here.
Way much. And it's weird. Like we have the lifestyle here is cool. Like it's cheaper. You can rent bikes, jet skis, go to amazing beaches. Have cheap food and delicious food, and at the same time, you just don't need to worry that much as someone stealing stuff from you or any kind of trouble. Of course, like don't go, just don't go doing drugs and shit. Like if you want to do it, like it's your life, but when you do that, the risks always like increase like crazy. So
don't do drugs in Thailand.
Don't do it.
One of the reasons why I didn't like Saigon that much and didn't spend as much time there as I was going to is because of that safety factor. I'm a big guy, and I fought, in Muay Thai, and I still felt unsafe there.
Really?
Yes. And I would every time I used my phone, I would hold it with a death grip just expecting someone to run up and just grab it and run away.
Wow.
You know, every time I didn't even want to bring my laptop out. You know, if I did, I'd always have to hold on to it. You know, when I walk home, you know, sometimes I'd ask myself, like, man, you know, maybe I should just go in a cab. But then I go in a cab and I'm like, oh man, this cab driver is going to try to rip me off or try to rob me. And I'm just like, I don't want to deal with it. I don't like that. I don't need that stress in my life. If you guys want to hear the whole episode about Saigon versus Chiang Mai, it's episode 26. And, you know, we basically talked you know, there are a lot of pros. There are a lot of great things about Saigon as well. And that's why I would say it's one of the top 2 biggest hubs for entrepreneurs right now besides Chiang Mai. But for me personally, I'm back in Chiang Mai. I love it here. I don't want to go anywhere else for a while. Yeah.
That's awesome.
All right, so let's wrap this up. I want to put you on the spot, and I want to ask you, give the listeners some tips right now. Just think of, you know, 3 tips. It doesn't have to be just business. It could be anything. And, you know, I have a feeling that you have some good knowledge to drop on people.
Okay, tips about mentality, about...
Yeah, sure, anything.
Yeah, let's see, dude. That's like putting me on the spot.
Yeah, and you have to do it in Portuguese as well.
Wow, in Portuguese. Really?
Yeah, let's do it. Google Translate, guys.
Yeah, I think like when you see like books or information about someone that have done something, we always gonna think like, okay, it doesn't work, right? But when you see that there's metrics that you can analyze, the data, the traffic, how much you're gonna pay per traffic, how much you're gonna make out of this traffic, or like promotional strategies, it becomes simple. You know, we just make it harder because, you know, sometimes people around you they're gonna say that you cannot do it or it's not true, but they don't know it. My biggest mistake was telling my family what I was doing. I was like, no, I'm building this business, this online business. Maybe I'm gonna have some affiliate marketing, like affiliates promoting for me. And you know, it gets weird. Then they start talking to each other, and then someone says that it's a pyramid scam, and then I'm gonna go to jail. So like putting like all those fears, they're not necessary because they're not entrepreneurs. So if you want to build a business, talk to entrepreneurs. Don't talk to normal people because it's gonna be a waste of time, and like all this insecurity is gonna come out. And you know, like sometimes we need to get out of the comfort zone. We gotta do like weird stuff, complicated stuff. And normal people can say like, oh, you don't need to do that. Of course I don't need to, but I need to grow somehow. That's why I'm on my videos, like I'm on top of a crocodile, putting my hand on a crocodile and like pulling the tail of the crocodile. Right? Because, you know, like it's uncomfortable, but when I'm gonna give a speech or be in front of the camera or being interviewed on a podcast, it's gonna be, no, I can compare. You know, like if I was on top of a crocodile, I can do this shit, right? So like get out of the comfort zone and start talking to people that get this stuff. You know, sometimes people around you not gonna get you, and that's gonna be normal. Like sometimes, like as we grow, we're gonna be changing circles, like friendships, partnerships. So you know, like everybody can do it. It's just the fear that might stop you or block you, but don't let it block you for more than 2 days and keep going forward.
I like it. Very, very cool having you on the show. I really appreciate you on here.
Thank you, bro.
Big shout out to everyone who left 5-star reviews on the iTunes store. If you want to help us out, go to iTunes store and look for the Travel Like a Boss podcast. Give us a rating. J.K. Cron said, refreshing and informative approach Johnny takes. I look forward to each new podcast. Keep up the good work. And LAX Swim Surf said, started listening because of the podcast where they talk about working in Australia. Never even minded the business side of the talk until I was consistently listening to the idea of dropshipping. Now I'm hooked. Signing up for Anton's method very soon and hoping to going to Thailand as well. Subscribe. It's worth your time. So thank you guys for taking the time to do that. And thank you for being on the show. How can people get in touch with you?
You guys can add me on Facebook or my websites. The last one's libertaciondigital.com. You're going to put the link there?
Yeah, just go to episode 33, travellikeaboss.com. Oh, sorry, travellikeabosspodcast.com. And I'll have links to everything because I can't pronounce any of it.
Yeah, rock and roll.
Peace out, guys. See you guys next time and keep traveling like a boss.
Peace.
Adios.
Adios in Spanish, bro.
How do you say it?
Até mais.
Até mais. Bon sorte.
See you soon, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Travel Like a Boss podcast. If you want to hear more, including the bonus How to Choose the Perfect Niche episode, join our mailing list at travellikeabosspodcast.com. See you next week, and remember, if you want to travel like a boss, you need to be your own boss. So start your online business today and start living the lifestyle you've always dreamed of.